Alright, today we're doing a heater element, block heater element on a Cummins ISX 8 CM870. 2 bolts. Take this connector off here. Comes off. The gasket's leaking on this. We replaced it, but they gave us a cheap paper gasket, so it kept leaking. Ended up getting a gasket with a metal, those metal rubber coated gaskets, a little thicker, and it should seal it up better. You got two 13mm bolt heads there. Take those out. You have about 15 gallons of coolant, so just drain the coolant out. And then I'm also doing the engine brake connector here. You can see it's full of oil. Hope you can see that. Got oil coming out of the actual connector. So the pass-through in the head, we got to replace that. Not just the O-rings on the outside, but it's actually the connector itself is leaking in where the pins are, and it's setting a bunch of codes for your engine brake. So I got to pull this valve cover off and get that changed out too. So I'll start doing that while the coolant's draining. Getting this valve cover off is pretty simple. We've got a bunch of 10mm bolt heads. Get these bolts out all the way around. You know, clean off all the dirt around the gasket and the cover. Take all the bolts out, lift it off. One back here, one on the corner. Get those out and we'll pull this thing off. Okay, here's my harness. You can see where this is just getting oil pushed through it. It's going down the harness into the into all those solenoids for the fuel. It's making a real mess. So we're changing it out. You got 2 connectors here on your solenoids, your jig solenoids. Pop those off. Here's another problem right here. They didn't even put the harness on through the bolt there. You can see here, there's just these little pins that it sits in. Harness, hook up your jig, solenoid wires, the harness is there. Leave that up. I'll put some silicone on that and pop it through the hole here, the pass through. You can see that. And put the clip through it again, plug it back in, put this thing back together. That'll be done. There you go. Just watch your gasket, make sure you get it lined up before you start cranking it down. Start all your bolts. And we'll clean this connector out real good one more time. And plug her in. And then I gotta get this block heater finished up next. Alright, so I got this block heater back in. I'm airlifting this coolant. The whole reasoning behind this is you get all the air out of the system before you put coolant in it. So instead of just filling it up and you keep getting air, you know, underneath the coolant that keeps bubbling out, this will suck all the air out of it, put it in a vacuum, and then you can just lift all your coolant out through that hose. So you put your air line on here, and I normally have this valve shut. This valve needs to be shut going to your coolant. And then put air to it, open this valve, and then it'll suck it down into a vacuum. I let it get down to about just above the 25 inches of vacuum. And I let it sit for a minute to make sure it's not dropping. If it starts dropping, you got a leak somewhere. That's another benefit to this. So once it's holding a vacuum and you're happy with it, take your air off and shut that valve off again. Open that valve, and that'll pull all your coolant out of the buckets right into the system. And you just keep an eye on it as you got to switch your hose, shut the valve off, switch it to the other bucket. You get the point. Really nice system. If you don't have one of these and you're doing a lot of work on diesels especially, it's good that you don't get air down in the block, and no air bubbles, no problems. And you can also check it for leaks too, which is nice. So that's how I'm gonna lift the coolant into this truck. Alright, it's down in a vacuum. So I'm just gonna make sure this hose is down in the bucket and open it up. Sucks it right in. And repeat that for another 4 buckets here. I'm adjusting brakes on a big Mack tri-axle. Get this bed up. We can get to all the wheels real easy, all the slack adjusters, and adjust these brakes. I think these are all manual slack adjusters, so I gotta check it every once in a while, make sure she's good. So this has got 9/16 adjuster on it, and you gotta press this tab down here, this collar, press that down and you'll see your bolt head. Put your wrench on that and turn that thing until the shoes touch the drums, the linings touch the drums, and back it off a 1/4 turn. And make sure that collar pops back out. And if you're doing this on the rear brakes, block the wheels and release your spring brakes, and so they're not engaged, so you can actually move this thing, the slack adjuster, and adjust everything up. And that's all there is to it. So here's on the front. You're on the slack adjuster. Push that wrench down and turn this thing until the drums contact the shoes contact the drum. You can see it. And then I go a 1/4 turn. Just like that. See how that collar doesn't want to pop back up? I'm gonna get that thing so it pops back up. I need a screwdriver to pry it up, but that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple, something you do on these older trucks. Newer trucks have these auto adjusters. You still got to check them, but not nearly as much as these older ones. Alright, let's go for a drive and check these brakes. They're all good.
bumpy ride, that's for sure.